I would like to call to order the council meeting for Tuesday, November 1st, 2016. If we could all please stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Secretary, may I please have roll call?
Olivia Brady, Ellery Scott Cooper, Hakeem Jones, Heather Lewis, Sue Ann Gardner, Derek Perry, Sonia Sanders.
Here. May I please have a member of council make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 18th, 2016? All in favor? Meeting minutes approved. Earlier this evening, we had executive session that included real estate matter and a personnel matter. Next order of business we have is presentations by Chief Talbot for the Citizens Police Academy certificates.
So tonight's our graduation. It's 10 weeks for our our inaugural Citizens Police Academy class, and it's been a great part of our program. One of the things that we've tried hard to do is to make sure that we incorporate our policing strategy into the community and really give everybody a better sense of what it means to police Norristown, and really make sure that we're engaging in a way that helps us do the job together. This first group was absolutely fantastic. A very committed, smart, tough group of people that really enhanced our lives. Couldn't be more happy about the experience for us, and glad we can acknowledge everybody here tonight. But I just want to give everybody a round of applause for just a great job that you've done. Second, before we recognize all of the graduates, I want to give a special acknowledgement to Gina Davies, who is really the driving force behind this program. So Gina came to me, feels like forever ago now, with this vision of what she wanted to do, and being really in tune with both what the department needs and what the community needs. She said she wanted to do something that was different from some of the other things that we're doing. So pretty much all of this is hers, and I want to acknowledge that. So thank you very much. So I'm told at this point that that's all I'm going to be doing, and the class speaker, Stacy Noble, is going to come up and lay it out for us. Come on up, Stacy.
Good evening. I was charged with speaking to you all about the class and my experience with the class. When I first came into the Citizens Police Academy, like some of you all, I had some reserve about law enforcement. Based off what you see in the media, you're only seeing one side. But since I've been in this class, I've learned a lot. I've learned to see both sides of the coin as opposed to seeing one. I've learned that sometimes police officers are responding not to hurt or to harm, but to stop them from harming themselves and those that are around them. So it's kind of open and broadened my idea about police officers. We also went on a ride-along with police officers. I don't know if everyone has had the opportunity, but I did with Officer Brian, and he was amazing. And my ride-along was awesome because I got to see the officers in action. It was kind of sad a little bit to see people struggling with some of the things that they are, and you see the people in your community, and you don't really realize that they're going through this until you physically see it yourself. So it is kind of sad but exciting at the same time. Also in the class, Chief Talbert, he sort of kind of charged us with also learning some of the strategies and structures of the Norristown Police Academy and the Norristown Police, what their values are, their core values are, and what they stand on. So I found that to be interesting, and learning that he is training his team to be transparent so we can see them in a different light, that they are here to help us, not to harm us. And if we need a helping hand, we can reach out and call, and they're always there, in which I've seen that one, firsthand with the officers. So I will say that being in this class has changed my view on law enforcement and the Norristown Police Department. Now when I see them on the street and they're parked in the middle of the road, I'm like, gosh, please move. But I know that is for a reason. We've learned a lot with different sectors of the Norristown Police, as far as the K-9 unit. Also learned about, I wasn't here for SWAT, but we learned also about how to subdue someone when you're approaching them, when you're stopping them. So we've learned a lot, and they've taught us a lot, and we really thank you guys for taking time out of, we know your busy schedules, because I did 8 hours, so I know it's busy. We kept trying to take a lunch break, and every time we tried to, we got another call. So, but it's been great, and I would really honestly take this class again, because it's a lot. It's an eye-opener, and I charge everyone out in the community to just come out and just see, because there are so many things out here that I didn't know we had. I didn't know we had a town watch. I've lived in Norristown for almost 14 years, and I didn't know we had a town watch. They do promote community by doing, coffee with an officer, with a cop. They do a lot of things at the local library. So the resources are there. You just have to go out and find it. So I just charge everyone to be open-minded. The police officers are not here to harm, but they're here to help. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Captain Klauser and Gina, come on up, and we'll keep it moving from there.
All right, so what we want to do now is we want to recognize all our participants in the Citizens Police Academy. Again, thank you for those kind words and your experiences. We appreciate that. Thank you, Stacy. So we want to recognize all the participants with certificates, and also they'll be getting you can put your favorite beverage in this glass. So, whatever your favorite beverage is, hopefully you'll enjoy that. And see me before you leave tonight, so I can give you that. Also, we want to recognize some of the behind-the-scenes people, the instructors. We had over 20 different instructor presenters during the Citizens Police Academy. A couple of them were standing in the back there, Corporal D'Orzio and Officer Hoover. So, along with Lieutenant Greenaway and myself, the chief, Gina, who put it all together, are kind of the people that we want to also recognize for what they did. So, if you could give them a round of applause. For the participants, when your name is called, please come up, get your certificate. We're going to get a picture of you getting your certificate from the chief, and then if you want us to shake the council members' hands, we appreciate that. They want to congratulate you for this accomplishment as well. And kind of hang around in the background here because we're going to get a group picture. Okay? Thank you.
All right. So here we go. We'll start with Daniel Kemp. All right. Next we have Daniel Bizak. Terry Butler. Sue Soriano. Looks like Sue didn't make it. Rosella Gray. Mark Lukey. Kim Ramsey. The Reverend Ellen M.C. Jones.
We get a few.
Thank you.
Thomas Sakamoto. Byron Jones. Tiffany Henley. I know she's here. I saw her. Tracy Branch. I'm sorry, I skipped that. Stacy Noble. Now it's your turn. Elena Santangelo. Denise Hall. Yvonne Durham. Miss Dazzling Doris Smith Stars. Robert Jennings. Buck Jones.
Thank you, guys.
All right, these next two are two of our law enforcement explorers, Tyra Swittenberg. And last but not least, Michael Caracappa.
I guess we'll get everybody in front of the table so we can get a group shot. Do we need to move? Hey, Jason.
Short people up front.
I figured he didn't have to go no further. He already had the perfection right there. You want to move the podium? You don't want to be in your own. Back down.
Thank you all.
There goes our crowd. Before everyone leaves for the evening, if you could just stay for a few minutes, please.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Well, we got a few folks stayed. Okay.
Yeah. And it's on TV.
Huh?
And it's on TV.
Okay, good. Madam President, before we move on, I did want to make it known that because this is a night for the Police Academy, the Police Chief Talbot and his team are very modest in terms of the work that they do. But I did share this with council, and I wanted to share it with the community as well. I was privy to an email from the Department of Justice a couple of weeks ago, whereby they had communicated with Chief Talbot about the fact that they were singing the praises of the Norristown Police Department and Chief Talbot's leadership because of the amazing work that they do in actual community policing and connecting with community. They, as a matter of fact, they said it was some of the best that they've seen in the country. And as a result, Chief Talbot was invited to come and speak at a national conference they had a couple of weeks ago in Arizona on community policing. I think that's a testament to the work that this department is doing. And if you look around the state and the region, you know, what people are stealing from Norristown Police Department in terms of mimicking and replicating their programs of the police department is a testament to that work as well. And I just wanted to get it on the record and in public and say thanks so much to Chief Talbot and his team for the work that they do.
And I would just like to extend a special thank you to you all for taking the time to commit and to educate yourselves about the community policing in Norristown. You are actually learning from the finest, the NPD. Vice President Perry, do we have any announcements this evening?
Yes. We have Advanced Community Partners, second annual PJ Drive. The drop-off location is at the Vance Center Community Partners at 212 Cherry Street, Norristown, PA. The Prothonotary office at the courthouse on East Airy Street. The main lobby of the municipality and Center Theater. If anyone, contact information is Jill Adamman, and you can contact her at 610-277-9125, extension 307. The deadline for that is December 31st, 2016. We have a free dental day, which is sponsored by Advanced Dentistry of Collegeville. This is the day when we give back to a community that has been so wonderful to us. Choice of filling, extraction, or cleaning, you have to be 18 years or older. Can't get dental care elsewhere. The treatment is limited to 45 patients. This is patients must have no insurance and otherwise can't afford dental care. Patients are encouraged to arrive early, dress appropriately for the weather, and bring chairs, water, snacks, etc. That will be on Saturday, November 12th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And Councilwoman Brady.
Thank you, Vice President Perry. Are you tired of the litter in this municipality? Are you concerned about the environmental health in our borough? Now is your opportunity to do something about it and help us address these issues in Norristown. We still have seats available for the Environmental Advisory Committee working with Keep America Beautiful on these issues. Please contact Randall Jones if you're interested in being on the committee. Thank you.
Councilman Jones.
Good evening. Norristown High School's boys basketball team is having a Saturday morning fundraiser. It'll be Saturday, November 5th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Applebee's in East Norton on DeKalb Pike. $8 per person, $5 per child, all you can eat pancakes for the basketball program. Also, a voter location has been changed to anybody who doesn't know. St. Patrick's Church will no longer be a polling place. The new location is Gottwalls Elementary School for anyone who voted at St. Patrick's.
Any other announcements? Yes.
Yes, I have an announcement. This past Saturday, Chief Talbot was recognized by the Norristown NAACP for the community leader, and I must say they made an excellent choice. He's done a tremendous job in Norristown in his short period of time, and we really appreciate you, and we thank you for all you do for Norristown. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments this evening?
No, we don't.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, do we have any communication this evening?
No, we don't.
Thank you. We will move on with the next order of business for the municipal administrator in regards to Resolution 16-152.
Thank you, Madam President. Council, before you is Resolution number 16-152, executing SR 202 sidewalk parking bays and territory filters maintenance agreement. As Council knows, since 2002, the municipality has been working with PennDOT in terms of the improvements that have been made along the Markley Street corridor. Section 520 was completed with that last opening, and Section 510, which this resolution covers, now covers the area from Elm Street to Main Street, which will be the final piece of the corridor that's going to be completed under the project. As a part of that process, although the discussions and agreements about how the work would be done started 14 years ago, that still remains as they get into the bidding and letting of the project and the execution of the project, a requirement for the municipality to sign documents related to transfer of ownership, maintenance of the tree and other facilities along the corridor once the work is completed. And that transfer will not occur until the work has been completed and approved by the municipality. So this resolution is a request for council to authorize the manager to sign all the necessary agreements on behalf of the municipality. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Jones, any questions? Councilman Jones.
What distance does that span from on DeKalb Street?
It's on Markley, from Main Street to Elm, and that will be the end of that project. And that also includes major intersections improvements on Main Street.
Any other questions, comments, or discussions? Would a member of council like to make a motion to approve Resolution 16-152, which would designate and authorize the municipal administrator to sign and enter into an agreement for the maintenance of sidewalks, parking bays, and territory filters along State Route 202, Section 510. Madam Secretary, may I please have roll call?
Olivia Brady, Valerie Scott Cooper, Hakeem Jones, Heather Lewis, Sue Ann Gardner, Derek Perry, Sonia Sanders.
Aye. Resolution 16-152 passes. You're welcome. Next order of business we have is public safety in regards to the reserve parking resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. This is for motion to approve or disapprove Resolution 16-150 regarding disabled parking spaces. The locations to establish handicap parking are 215 East Basin, 38 West Basin, and 1533 Arch Street. The residents at those locations have shown a need for this accommodation, and we're also asking you allow us to remove handicap parking signs that are no longer needed at 225 East Marshall Street, 130 Stanbridge Street, and 316 Hamilton Street.
Thank you, Chief. Would a member of council like to make a motion to approve resolution number 16-150 regarding requests for disabled parking spaces? Madam Secretary, may I please have roll call?
Olivia Brady, Valerie Scott Cooper, Hakeem Jones, Heather Lewis, Sue Ann Gardner, Derek Perry, Sonia Sanders.
Aye. Motion is approved for a reserved parking resolution. Next order of business we have is code enforcement. Mr. Simonson?
Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome.
Code enforcement for October, the HARB certificates of appropriateness. I'm just going to go down the list. 449 Hamilton Street, install a new freestanding sign. 820 West Marshall Street, to install a shingle roofing at the building. 100 East Jacoby was a partial approval, and that was to restore the front porch. 408 West Airy Street was received to remove deteriorated slate and install shingle roofing. 157 West Elm Street was an application received to install a new shingle roofing. 1228 West Marshall Street was application received to replace existing windows on the third floor and remove and replace 2 existing windows. 1607 and 08 were tabled. 1609 was application received to replace first floor aluminum windows with new vinyl windows. 613 DeKalb Street was application received to replace first floor aluminum windows with new vinyl windows. 600 DeKalb Street was an application received to replace the first 10 aluminum windows with new vinyl windows. 606 DeKalb Street was the same, to replace 10 windows, aluminum windows with vinyl windows. And 2 from last month that were brought to the agenda this month are 1002 Markley Street, and it was restore fire damaged building, reconstruct a new front porch and install new vinyl windows. And this 104 Markley Street, application received to restore fire damaged building and construct a new front porch and install new windows.
Thank you, Mr. Simonson. Any questions? Councilwoman Brady?
Thank you. Mr. Simonson, the sign that's on Hamilton Street, is that the one on the corner of Hamilton and Main?
Yes.
So that's a replacement sign for the real estate agency there?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Would a member of council like to make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for properties that applied for review by the HARB board? All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. That motion is approved. Next order of business we have is planning and municipal development. Ms. Musanye?
Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome.
As Council will recall, the Aquinas Realty Group was here in the last council meeting seeking preliminary land development approval, which they received. They have since gone to the Planning Commission, as is required by the MPC. They went to the Planning Commission on the 26th and received recommendation for approval for the final land development approval. They're here tonight seeking final land development approval subject to the conditions that are stated in the resolution. The engineer is here tonight in case there are any questions or any concerns that might pertain to the technicalities of the land development. He's here to answer those questions, and he's also here to give a quick review, particularly about the conditions that have been stated in the resolution. Mr. Cal?
Good evening. As Ms. Moussinier had mentioned, that this project had appeared in front of the council on several occasions prior to now. The last time they presented in the municipality, it was at a special meeting held by the Planning Commission back on October 26th. This project is ready for final approval tonight. There are several minimal comments, if you will. They are outstanding, but nothing major in nature. And all these comments will be addressed in the recording process. What happens is, if the council wishes to grant final approval tonight, then the next step will be to prepare recording documents. During the process, what happens is any minor comments will be adjusted and will be addressed accordingly. We are waiting on a couple of outside agency approvals from the client. However, those approvals will not and should not stop you from taking a position on the project tonight. One of these approvals is the HOP from PennDOT, or even a recommendation from PennDOT that says you can move forward in accordance with the previous approved plan. This is specifically for the entrance/exit that is being proposed right now on from Johnson Highway. Again, the plan is pretty clean. They have addressed pretty much all the landscaping comments. They had addressed all the internal circulation comments. They had addressed stormwater comments with a minor tweak still pending. But again, all in all, the project is ready for your recommendation or for your consideration for final tonight. The resolution that you have before you tonight does state several conditions, so your approval will be contingent upon the items listed on the resolution.
Councilwoman Brady.
Thank you. Two questions regarding the stormwater management and also the types of plantings that are going to go in the area.
Correct.
Could you expand a little bit on the type of stormwater management and if there are any low-lying poor drainage areas that are on that site, and what are you doing to remediate those areas, and are you considering any kind of native plantings for the types of shrubbery and other plantings that are going to go on that site?
Start with the stormwater management. This project complies with the current and most recent stormwater management ordinances that are adopted by the municipality, or in turn required by the Department of Environmental Protection. Any existing drainage issues with the site will be addressed as part of the site. All the drainage that is being produced by the site and generated by the site will be self-contained within the site. So there's nothing from the site. Most definitely, post-construction will be leaving the site. Everything will be self-contained.
So you don't see any negative impacts to the sewer discharge or sewer system?
That is correct. That is correct, yes. As far as the landscaping question, that's a very good question. The project right now complies with a list of landscaping list, if you will, that is under the subdivision land development ordinance. There is nothing that is proposed as part of the project that is outside that list. So everything they're proposing is in accordance with the approved list that was prepared by the municipality. We are not aware of anything that is on that list that has not survived, but it is something that survived. This is from other similar projects, other land development projects. But this list is always being evaluated and looked at, and anything that is reported to the municipality as something that may not and does not belong in the area will be looked at, evaluated, and replaced with something that belongs within our area.
Thank you. So, Great Jane, this might be a question to you. From what I'm hearing, we have specific criteria in our plans for area plantings for new construction. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. We have a long list. Yes.
And do we address native species within those plans to, protect the native environment and also to prohibit any kind of aggressive species from being brought in?
My understanding is it does. I'm not a person who's that familiar with it, but I do recall. Thank you. I do recall that when we were developing the subdivision land development ordinance, we had really good information and actually analysis from the county planners. So it took them quite a while, in fact 3 years, to put together the list of plans that are permitted in these types of subdivisions. I'm quite sure that their recommendations took into account that there were native species that had to be included in any type of development. I know one of the issues that was of great concern to them was not having species that would all the same, that maybe a disease would come about and affect all the landscaping. They were also conscious about the different types of species that would bloom at the right times and be able to give the visual effects that they need in a development. But it's really a very extensive list, and I think the land developers have a wide choice of species they could use in development, and we rely heavily on the county as well as the engineer to make sure that the species that they're proposing for any development are in keeping with that list.
That's complicated to know. Thank you.
And if I may add, sheet 15A of the plan set does have the tabulation of all the native plantings that are approved and required under the subdivision land development. This is under chapter 282, section 433. All the native plantings are listed on this sheet, and the applicant will comply with all of them. Thank you.
Mr. Solicitor?
Yes, Mr. Sun. I know, want to thank you for all your hard work on this, and I know we were working on this till even a couple hours ago.
Yes.
And thank you very much. And one of the conditions I just wanted to bring about, and I know that I see the applicant's attorney there, Mr. Campbell, 282 section 406-6, we worked on a calculation of what an approximated open space fee would be, and the applicant, instead of giving that money for the open space fee, agreed with us to go ahead and give a voluntary donation, roughly equivalent to what that open space fee would be. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
I see Mr. Campbell nodding.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. Okay.
Councilwoman Gardiner?
Push hard.
I just have a quick question. What was the revision, the minor tweaking in the sewer water? Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yes, it's the minor tweaking just belongs to maybe some elevations, invert elevations, dimensions, elevations of outflow pipe. We need to make sure that there are no high spots or ponding spots within the parking lot. We're trying to work with them to make sure everything drains out of the parking lot. You don't have any ponding, and then eventually possibly icing conditions. These are some of the minor items, but the majority and the nuts and bolts of the design has been completed.
And you're sticking with the 18-inch pipe?
That is, well, actually, this is one of the waivers that are being requested. Instead of 18-inch, they're going to go with the 15-inch. Which hydraulically it works. It's not an issue.
Councilwoman Lewis.
Thank you. I want to build on what Councilwoman Brady mentioned with the native species. Also, too, we have an opportunity with any new project or new undertaking to really introduce something new and I don't want to, wholesome by introducing edible landscaping. There's an organization called Feed the Burbs that their philosophy is that, forests don't need someone to tend to them. So some of their open space or, if there's landscaping around the perimeters, that if there's some edible landscaping, so, folks are walking, there's blueberries and there's shrubs and there's, other things that are actually, herbs that can be useful to the community and maybe some of the animals and things that are in that vicinity. But this is an opportunity to really utilize all of the new talents and gifts that we have available to us in our community to really make it the best that we can be. So maybe take a note of that.
Absolutely.
Councilwoman Scott Cooper.
Question regarding the trees. There are several line items talking about the trees and not having to provide for the replacement of all the trees that are removed, and I can understand that, but can you give us some indication as to what they expect to put on the landscape involving just the trees? I didn't mean to have to go through all that. But my concern is, this is so broad, it's not giving us any idea as to the number of trees or how many are going to be removed, and in terms of how many are going to be replaced. I just want to make sure that even though we're looking at the landscape for shrubbery, that there are going to be a number of trees still on the property.
Yeah, actually, there are two items that this project promotes. There's one thing that is required under the landscape and ordinance. It says that all trees to be removed have to be replaced. In some cases, there are some trees that can be removed, but yet they will not create any non-buffer compliance situation, if you will, because it's already existing and heavy. So the applicant is going to be removing some of these trees but not replacing them. There are other cases where the applicant is proposing a buffer rather than a filter. A filter is a much heavier line of trees than a buffer is. But in cases like this, and this will be on the northwest side of the site, the existing vegetation that is remaining is going to be staying intact, and then they're going to be adding to it to make sure that it complies with the ordinance. I hope I answered your question.
You did, in terms of that buffer is for the homes that are off of DeKalb, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and that's a good thing, because I see some people in the audience who are concerned about that, to make sure that there is a buffer there. But my other concern was regarding the landscaping and the trees that are going to be on the property to enhance the beautification of that property. I understand that all the trees are not going to be replaced once they are removed, but can you give us some indication as to maybe not how many, but that there will be a nice sizable amount of trees that will be replanted there?
Yes, to answer your question, yes, the site is going to be furnished fully with all the required landscape and trees, buffers, shrubs. There's going to be sufficient amount of trees and line of shrubs that are going to be beautifying the area and then maintaining a privacy / beautiful street frontage along Arch and even on the side of Johnson Highway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Would a member of council like to make a motion to approve Resolution 16-151 of 2016, granting final land development approval with conditions to Aquinas Realty Partners for the Aquinas Senior Living Project, which is formerly the Kennedy Kenrick site? Madam Secretary, may I please have roll call?
Olivia Brady. Valerie Scott Cooper. Hakeem Jones. Heather Lewis. Sue Ann Gardner. Derek Perry. Sonia Sanders.
Aye. Resolution 16-151 is approved.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We have up next item B for Simmons Park, Phase 4, recommendation to award contract.
Thank you, Madam President. It's been a long time coming, but we finally managed to get bids for this project. On October 21st, we received 4 bids, one from Jim Kenny Excavating for $234,199, for Gorkon Inc. for $249,163, from Land Tech Enterprises, $254,695, from Flyaway Excavating, $272,020. The engineer has done the required review and also checking on the contractor, and the planning department has recommended approval of the bid. Now, when it comes to the grant funds, we only had about $160,000, which would make it shy of $75,000 if we were to award the lowest responsible bidder, who is Jim Kennedy. There is a proposal, and would you like me to go through this, Mr. Jones? Or okay. And Mr. Jones has suggested perhaps we could use the general funds to complete the project, award the project as a whole, so that we would have the project completed under one swath, as opposed to doing in phases and having to come back again. So the recommendation from the planning department as well as administration.
Well, let me clarify, Council. The reason I propose that is that you passed a resolution that allows you to reimburse yourselves from the capital fund once that is done. And it only takes an additional $75,000, and we will have completed all the work at Simmons Park. And so my recommendation is that Council allow us to use general fund revenue, and once you pass the capital improvement plan and gotten it funded, we can reimburse the general fund from that fund for work on Simmons Park.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Councilwoman Brady.
Thank you. Could you outline the phase, what's being done in this particular phase for this project?
I can provide you an answer to that question. Under this last phase, phase 4, this project was made up of 4 phases. This is phase 4, which is the final. We have concrete sidewalk. We have a 10-foot high fence around the existing electrical equipment for safety purposes. We have landscaping. We have some park amenities also. There are chess tables being proposed as part of this project. There's a fence behind the basketball courts to prevent, for safety reasons, to prevent the basketball from hopping on the street. And there are also field lights as part of this, and obviously the related conduits, electrical wiring for them.
Is that lighting going to also include a timing mechanism so that the lights can be turned on and turned off by a particular schedule or by particular?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Councilman Jones.
Did you mention anything about the field and the grass areas and what's going to be done in the grass?
Yes, there's the corner part of the park. Yes, that is correct. That's going to be improved into a field. Yes, that is correct. It's part of this project. Well, it can be flat for drainage purposes. There's a slight slope. Usually it starts from the center line and it drains outward. But relatively, for you and I, just looking at it, it's going to look like it is flat, but there's a slight pitch on it for drainage purposes. But it's going to be a useful field for sports to be played on, yes.
Councilman Perry.
Can you give a breakdown of all 4 phases and what was done for all 4 phases coming into the 4th one?
Sure. Under phase 1, phase 1 had included stormwater management improvement and the construction of the 4 basketball courts. And then phase 2 came after, and that included site clearing and demolition, landscaping, paving, electrical, and also hardware installation. Then under Phase 3, that phase included additional drainage improvements around the basketball courts. Additional sidewalk was installed along the Oak Street frontage. There was a fence that was replaced also along the Oak Street frontage. And now we have phase number 4, which is the final. That should complete all the improvements under the Simmons Park.
What is Phase 4 going to include?
Phase 4. Phase 4 is going to include it will complete the concrete sidewalk and then the 10-foot high fence to complete the fields at the corner of the park. There's the field lighting, and there's also the amenities and landscape, and amenities being the chess tables.
Are we doing the middle of the strips where the grassy parts are? Are we going to fill those in with concrete?
I believe the plan as shown does take into consideration the last direction that we got from council, which was to leave a strip of grass and then to do some kind of a concrete treatment on the other side, so that the grass stays there in the middle.
So, I think the concern.
Councilman Jones.
I'm sorry. I think the concern is in between the basketball courts. There's actually grass, so a lot of the mud and the dirt and the debris from that grass tends to get onto the court. So, I think the question was if you guys were going to expand some of that concrete out, so that the kids aren't necessarily stepping right onto the grass when they go out of bounds.
And we did.
Council, do you have any other questions?
When we were going through the planning process, when we were going through the planning process, we did implement comments by residents and folks who use the field on a regular basis, and that is exactly the direction we got from council to complete the fields as.
Councilman Perry.
Do we have or will we look into maybe getting some cameras down there?
I'm sorry?
Cameras?
That is
security system?
That is always something the municipality can look into and implement. I have been involved with other parks that did include cameras, and you can easily implement 24/7 or timed cameras, or yes.
And then my last question is in regards, years ago when I was a young guy playing down at Oak Street and still do, there was an area where you could plug in some of the score clocks and everything like that. Do we have an option for that?
Not as part of this project, no.
Yes.
So, Mr. Perry, would that be something that you would like for council to consider in the near future?
Yes.
Okay. Councilwoman Gardner.
Question about the fencing. What kind of fencing will it be? Will it be better than what is or really is not there now?
It will be nice fencing. It will. I believe the fencing that we are implementing here is going to be some kind of a vinyl coating on it. It is not the kind that gets rusty after a certain period of time. So aesthetically, it's very pleasing, and from a structural standpoint, it's very strong. It is not something that's just going to fall down and require continuous maintenance.
Okay, because obviously I'm sure you're aware the fence that's there has been, it seems like it's a vinyl coating on it, and it's been stepped down and trampled over. And so I'm just concerned that, we're not putting something back that's similar to that and the same thing would happen again.
Are you talking about the fencing along the frontage of the road?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
This fencing goes maybe 2.5 feet to the inside of the court, and then it stands tall from there. So the 4-foot fence that is currently in place is in place, and I believe that is to be maintained by the municipality. This fence is over and beyond what you see the 4-foot. It's not going to look. It's going to look pretty nice, actually. Aesthetically, it's pretty pleasing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Perry.
In regards to, there's a sign that when you walk through the gate, there's a sign that says Oak Street Park and whatever else it says on there. But it is entirely too close to the basketball courts to where if someone is coming out of bounds and a kid, I almost seen a kid run into it. So I'm hoping we can address that to get that out of the way because that's a hazard.
That shouldn't be a problem. We can address that, sure.
Any other questions or concerns? Councilman Jones?
So there's a large, I believe, like a transmitter box slash huge structure. Is there going to be fencing put around that as well?
Yeah, the 8-foot fence line item that you see right here is to put the fence, it's an 8-foot fence to put it around it, and it is in accordance with the electrical code, separation requirements. It's going to have a gate that the municipality is going to have, and this way kids will not have direct access to it. It should make it much safer.
Mr. Dalbert, the opportunity for public comments has passed. Thank you. Any other questions or concerns? Would a member of council like to make a motion to award the contract for the construction of Simmons Park Phase 4 project to James R. Kennedy, excavating and paving? I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Would a member of council like to make a motion to award the contract for the construction of Simmons Park Phase 4 project to James R. Kennedy, excavating and paving for the full amount? All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. That motion is approved. Before we proceed to adjournment, council will be... I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure that it's just, the award is in accordance with the administrative recommendation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Before we proceed to adjournment, council will be having an executive session pertaining to real estate, which does not require any public action.
Well, actually, you can adjourn and then just meet afterwards.
Okay.
There's no need to, as long as you're not doing public action.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. Would a member of council like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.
You can. Stop.